Robert Kane sat in the corner booth of Miller's Diner, the same spot he'd claimed every Saturday morning for the past 3 years. Rain streaked the windows, blurring the world outside into watercolor grays and greens. His daughter Sarah would be at soccer practice for another hour. Time enough for coffee, eggs, and toast before he picked her up. Time enough to feel like a functioning adult instead of a man barely holding things together. The waitress, Diane, brought his usual order without asking. "How's Sarah doing?" "Good. Made 2 goals last week." "That's wonderful. You must be so proud." Robert was proud. Sarah was the one thing in his life he'd gotten right. After his wife left them 2 years ago, he'd learned to braid hair and pack lunches and be both mother and father. It was exhausting. But Sarah's smile made every sleepless night worth it. He'd just picked up his fork when the door chimed. A young woman stumbled inside, soaked through to the bone. Her dark hair hung in wet tangles around her face. Her light-colored shirt and jeans were drenched, clinging to her thin frame. She stood just inside the doorway, shivering, looking around with eyes that held something Robert recognized. Desperation trying hard to look like dignity. Diane approached her. "Miss, can I help you? Do you have a restroom I could use?" The woman's voice was soft, almost apologetic. "Customers only," Diane said, not unkindly but firmly. The diner had rules. "Oh, of course, I'm sorry." The woman turned to leave. Robert didn't think. He just acted. "Excuse me, she's with me." Both women turned to look at him. Diane raised an eyebrow. The young woman's eyes widened with surprise and something that might have been hope. "Come sit down," Robert said, gesturing to the empty seat across from him. "Get warm." The woman hesitated, then slowly walked to his booth. She slid into the seat carefully, as if afraid she might break something. Up close, Robert could see she was younger than he'd. First thought, mid-20s maybe? Pretty, despite the exhaustion etched around her eyes and the hollows in her cheeks. "I'm Robert," he said. "Lily," she whispered. Diane returned with a towel. "Here, honey, dry off." Lily took it gratefully, pressing it to her face and hair. Her hands shook. "Bring her the same as mine," Robert said to Diane. "And hot coffee." "Robert, you don't have to," Lily started. "I know I don't have to, but you look like you could use a warm meal, no strings attached." When the food arrived, Lily stared at the plate as if she couldn't quite believe it was real. Then she picked up the fork with trembling hands and took a bite. Her eyes closed. "Thank you," she said, voice breaking. "You have no idea what this means." "You don't have to explain," Robert said gently. "Just eat." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Rain continued to drum against the windows. Other diners came and went, wrapped in their own Saturday morning routines. Finally, Lily spoke. "I used to be a photographer, had my own small studio. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Then I got sick, medical bills, lost everything trying to pay for treatment, lost my apartment 6 weeks ago." Robert's chest tightened. "I'm sorry, that's not fair. Life rarely is." Lily managed a small smile. "But I'm getting better now. The treatment worked. I just need to get back on my feet, find work, find a place to stay." "Do you have family?" "No. Parents died when I was young. No siblings. It's just me." She gestured to a worn camera bag Robert hadn't noticed before, sitting on the floor beside her. "Managed to keep my camera. Thought maybe I could do freelance work once I figure out where I'm staying." Robert pulled out his wallet. He had $47 in cash, the money he'd saved for Sarah's new cleats. He set it on the table. "Take this. It's not much, but—" "No." Lily pushed the money back firmly. "You've already given me breakfast. That's more kindness than I've seen in weeks. I can't take your money. Please, I have a daughter. If something happened to me and she ended up alone, I'd hope someone would help her." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "You have a daughter? Sarah. She's 9. Best thing that ever happened to me. Then you need this money for her, not for me." Lily stood up, steadier now with food in her stomach. "Thank you, Robert. You reminded me that good people still exist. That matters more than you know." She shouldered her camera bag and headed for the door. Robert watched her go, feeling like he should do more but not knowing what. Diane refilled his coffee. "That was a kind thing you did. Felt like the least I could do. In this world, The least we can do is often the most important thing. 3 weeks passed. Robert fell back into his routine. Work at the construction company during the week. Sarah's activities on evenings and weekends, bills and laundry, and the constant juggling act of single parenthood. He thought about Lily sometimes, wondered if she was okay, hoped she'd found help. On a Tuesday afternoon, Robert was at the construction site when his supervisor called him over. "There's someone here to see you. Says it's important." Robert climbed down from the scaffold, brushing sawdust from his shirt. 2 people in expensive suits waited by the site office, a woman with silver hair and a younger man carrying a briefcase. "Robert Kane?" the woman asked. "That's me. What's this about?" "I'm Margaret Harrison and this is David Lynn. We're attorneys with Harrison and Associates. We represent the estate of Lillian Rose Hartfield." The name meant nothing to Robert. "I think you have the wrong person. Did you meet a young woman named Lily at Miller's Diner approximately 3 weeks ago?" Robert's heart stuttered. "Yes. Is she all right?" Margaret's expression softened. "I'm afraid Miss Hartfield passed away 5 days ago. Complications from her illness. It happened quite suddenly." The world tilted. Robert grabbed the doorframe for support. "No. She said she was getting better. She was, for a time. But these things can be unpredictable." Margaret paused. "Miss Hartfield spent her last days ensuring her affairs were in order. She left very specific instructions regarding you." David opened his briefcase and pulled out documents. Lillian Rose Hartfield was the sole heir to the Hartfield estate. Her grandfather made his fortune in manufacturing. The family trust is worth approximately $12 million. Robert stared at them. "What does this have to do with me?" Miss Hartfield had no other living relatives. She directed that her entire estate be placed in a trust for your daughter, Sarah Kane. She wanted to ensure that the child of the man who showed her kindness would never have to struggle the way she did. The words didn't make sense. Robert shook his head. "That's impossible. I bought her breakfast. That's all. 1 meal. To you, it was 1 meal," Margaret said gently. To her, it was everything. She told us that she'd reached the point where she'd forgotten what human compassion looked like. You reminded her. In her words, you gave her dignity when she had nothing else. David handed Robert a letter. "She wanted you to have this." With shaking hands, Robert opened the envelope. Lily's handwriting was delicate, careful. "Dear Robert, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. I'm sorry we didn't have more time. I would have liked to know you better, to meet Sarah, to thank you properly. That morning in the diner, I was at my lowest point. I'd been sleeping in my car for weeks. I hadn't eaten in 2 days. I was starting to believe that maybe the world was exactly as cruel as it seemed. Then, you proved me wrong. You saw someone struggling, and you helped without hesitation or judgment. You treated me like a person who mattered. That breakfast gave me more than food. It gave me hope. It reminded me that kindness still exists. I spent my last weeks arranging this, I know. It seems like too much for 1 meal. But please understand, you gave me what I needed when I needed it most. Now I want to do the same for your daughter. Let her grow up knowing she's safe. Let her pursue her dreams without the weight of financial struggle. Let her become someone who shows the same kindness you showed me. I wish I could have told you this in person, but since I can't know this, you made a difference in my life. You mattered. Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible to everyone else. With gratitude and affection, Lily." Robert's vision blurred with tears. He read the letter again, barely believing it. "This can't be real," he whispered. "It's very real," Margaret assured him. "The trust is established. Sarah will have access to funds for education immediately. The remainder will be available when she turns 25. Until then, there's an annual allowance designated for her care." "I don't understand. Why would she do this?" "Because you changed her life," Margaret said simply, "and she wanted to change yours." That evening, Robert sat Sarah down and tried to explain. She was too young to fully grasp the enormity of it, but she understood the important part. "A lady you helped wanted to help us back?" Sarah asked. "Yes, sweetheart. That was nice of her. I wish I could have met her." "Me too, baby. Me too." Robert kept Lily's letter in his desk drawer. On hard days, when the weight of single parenthood felt crushing, he'd read it and remember. Remember that small acts of kindness ripple outward in ways we never expect. That seeing someone's humanity costs nothing but means everything. He donated a portion of the trust income to homeless services in Lily's name. He made sure Sarah understood where the money came from and why generosity mattered. Years later, when Sarah graduated from college, she majored in social work. At her graduation, she gave a speech about a woman named Lily she'd never met, who taught her that wealth isn't measured in money but in the lives we touch. "My father gave a stranger breakfast," Sarah said, "and that stranger gave us everything. But the real gift wasn't the money. It was the reminder that we're all connected, that we all deserve kindness, that we all matter." Robert sat in the audience, tears streaming down his face. He thought about that rainy morning in Miller's diner, about a young woman with desperate eyes and the simple choice to share a meal. He'd never expected gratitude, never wanted recognition. He'd just seen someone who needed help and done what felt right. But Lily had seen something more. She'd seen the kind of person who builds a world worth living in, and she'd chosen to honor that in the most profound way she could. After the ceremony, Robert and Sarah visited the small memorial garden they'd created in Lily's honor. Her photograph sat in the center, taken from one of the self-portraits they'd found in her camera. She was smiling, wind in her hair, eyes bright with life. "Do you think she knew?" Sarah asked. "How much she'd change our lives?" "I think she hoped," Robert said. "Just like I hope that breakfast changed hers, even if only for a moment." Sarah leaned her head on his shoulder. "I'm going to make her proud, Dad. I'm going to help people the way you helped her. You already do, sweetheart, every single day." As they stood in the fading light, Robert thought about the million small choices that make up a life, the moments when we can walk past suffering or stop to acknowledge it, when we can hoard what little we have or share it freely. He'd chosen to share a breakfast, and Lily had chosen to share her gratitude. Two strangers connected by a single act of compassion had created a legacy that would ripple forward for generations. That, Robert understood now, was the real inheritance. Not the money, but the reminder that we're all capable of changing lives. That kindness is never wasted. That seeing each other's humanity is the most valuable gift we can give. He'd given Lily breakfast, she'd given him purpose, and together, they'd given Sarah a foundation built not on wealth but on the knowledge that compassion is the currency that truly matters. The end. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales about unexpected connections and the power of simple kindness. Comment below about a time someone's generosity changed your life, or when you helped someone without expecting anything in return. Your story might inspire someone else to choose compassion today.